Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And day one of the CDL Stage 4 Major is finally underway in a LAN environment, and I was hoping it would deliver on the storylines front, and it has delivered indeed in spades. So much to dive into today, so much I'm sure to talk about in the coming days, because these storylines are not going anywhere anytime soon. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this that Lion Man puts on the Breaking Point socials. 466 days since the last LAN event the Call of Duty held. Finally, we are back in action. A bit of foreshadowing to what we're going to talk about in a few minutes' time here. This from Standy. Of course, I'm not too much experience in a LAN environment. Does anyone know how to stop getting joked on LAN? Please help indeed. This was the bracket going into it. Of course, it's kind of small on screen as you can see right here, but the 4 games on the left will be played today. We'll go through the first 3 of those. Subliners Rokkr, I will certainly be touching on it tomorrow morning. Let's talk about this first of all. So the CDL, a lot of the casters and of course Lottie and co, they're still based at home, but to be fair, they've done a much better job here with putting this together with the green screen and the background and everything. Honestly, look pretty good all things considered, and Maven seems to be there in the venue regardless. Let's talk first series then. Seattle Surge versus the Royal Ravens. This, I mean, straight away someone was going to go out of the tourney, and immediately we saw some talk about some players that have certainly been talking about the fact that yeah, LAN has been obviously on their mind for a very long time. Players that have had a very difficult time of things right the last couple of seasons in this online environment. They were really looking forward to getting back to LAN, especially Octane was one of those guys, and well, LAN LaRue, as Seattle say right here, as he pretty much takes over game 1 at a time, but well, we wait for game 4 where he really takes over the series. Very impressive stuff from him. There was still some stream issues. I wish they'd do a little bit more to make it feel like a LAN, because even when they go to a listening, right, you could have some player cams, right, of what the team's actually looking like at the time, but they don't do that. So a lot of the time, and because the casters are at home as well, like it's still, when you're watching the game, it still kind of looks like you're well, it's played in an online environment, right, as opposed to the players actually being there. So still some steps up they could potentially make, and there were some dodgy stream things going on as Kevin Skills is talking about right here. But this was game 2 though. Royal Ravens bounce back. They win a nice little search and destroy here. Surely manages to close it out, and I think it was honestly pretty fair play from London, all things considered. But yeah, it didn't really go their way down to the wire, and this came out as well, right? There was definitely some discussion in the chat, and a lot of memes that came out as of course as a result of the next couple of series that we will discuss most certainly in the YouTube chat. But this all the Addy stuff once again, no real surprises there. But then we go into this game through. It's a checkmate control where Seattle have been, well, obviously awful on this map all season. London have been pretty good at it, but here Seattle actually get the better of them, so fair play. Seattle clearly improving at a pretty rapid pace here, so fair play to those guys most certainly. And in a LAN environment, have been the Krig shoots absolute laser beams. As you can see, Octane on a killing spree ×5, not having too many issues right now, and yeah, he was certainly frying today, especially when they then go to a checkmate hardpoint, and he's absolutely obliterating. He drops 33 and 14 or something, just ridiculous. They take out London, drop them out of the tournament, and despite Paulx having a great map 2 search and destroy, yeah, wasn't a pretty scoreboard for those guys. As Octane says right here, LAN is back. Crazy crazy how that happens, that we absolutely dominate. Pretty good for a YouTuber, most certainly. A 1.71 over the series, plus 35. Yeah, not pretty on the other side for London guys. They are the first team out of the tournament in 12th place. Difficult stuff for them. Then let's talk about this. I'm going to dive into more detail on this tomorrow because there's just so much to say on this issue. There's been a lot of discussion on it back and forth. No one really knows exactly what's going on, it seems, at the present time. But Thieves say, for our match today versus the Gorillas, Drazah will be starting in place of Huke. What's going on here? As part of the CDL's guidelines due to the whole situation, players are to be tested the night before a match to determine eligibility. Huke was not available to be tested at the dedicated time. We attempted to get him tested earlier today, but were unable to get results due to back in time before the match. Due to the missed test, he will sit out of today's games. A lot of discussion on exactly why this happens and what mistakes were made, whose fault exactly this was. We'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. But the long and the short of it is that, well, Huke couldn't play for their team, right? He can actually play for the Thieves up against Los Angeles Gorillas in a massive series for them that obviously they've been practicing with here for a couple of days. Let me just like a couple of tweets here. I've already liked this one. So, yeah, honestly, let's just keep going with this. Mind-blowing stuff. I cannot believe sometimes the stuff that comes out of the Thieves camp. Like, this entire season for them has been absolute chaos. And you've got players like dropping left, right and centre. TJ's here on stage as Methods is talking about. And then in the series where you finally have a little bit of preparation trying to make some sort of losers bracket run, you then have to sub out a player last minute. I mean, just an outrageous situation that we are going to dive into in more detail tomorrow because players are mind blown about some of the implications from this. But yes, Thieves end up playing Drazah's back in the team. We talked about Drazah could be in the team maybe for TJ the other day, and that might make sense. But instead he has to replace who can run an SMG in that sense. And honestly, Thieves look pretty good this series, all things considered. But the problem is with a new team like this, your search and destroy is never really going to be there, right? You're never quite going to have the strats that you were preparing with your old team, and LAG are always going to be a pretty solid search and destroy team, and that's really what gets them over the line in this series. Game 1, Slasher just completely dominates. Cool to see him back on LAN. I mean, Slasher and Octane, both of them were completely crushing it today, to be honest. We'll have a look at the post-game, post-series statistics here in just a second. Los Angeles Grillers on the other side actually moved to it. I think they're 11, I'm pretty sure it's 11.5 points in a row. They have now lost after these couple of defeats they suffered this series, but they still managed to win it on the whole. Goes down to around 11, this search and destroy. Kenny almost gets the clutch, but it doesn't quite work out for them. Los Angeles Grillers closing out. Chino is a great map, and honestly a great series, all things considered. And Silly, despite a very poor, he had a really poor time actually in some of these maps, but turned it around with the SMG when required. Popped a nice 3-piece right here. They win the control. Then game 4 goes the way of Los Angeles Thieves. Honestly, this wasn't particularly close to this rate out point. Goes down to the wire, and in this final game, Miami search and destroy, it's Los Angeles Grillers that closes out in a pretty comfortable, in the end, 6-3 fashion. So honestly, remarkable scenes. I'm not sure what's going on with Thieves. I can't even explain some of these issues at times. Slasher very frustrated with the situation. As Kenny says, last 3 or 4 days have been something out of a movie. Honestly, I can't even, you can't make this stuff up. You honestly cannot write it. And as Crone says right here, the second best team in Los Angeles again, they drop out top 12, earnings $0, CDL 0.0, and the chances right there immediately of these guys actually making a run in the tournament immediately come to a close. The Slasher says, unbelievable how much absolute BS I've had to deal with this year. Finally make it to LAN. I'm playing 8 and a pickup S&D squad on main stage after sitting around for 2 entire months. Cannot believe what's going on. And these are the overall series stats right here. You can see Slasher plus 19, a 1.30 over the course of it. The slaying was actually in the favour of the Thieves guys, but still, they do not get the job done in the end. Absolutely remarkable stuff. Then we get another incredible series. This one did not go the way I expected it to go. I'm sure a lot of the way that you guys expected it to go as well, because all the lead up, the last several months, we talked about a lot of storylines coming into this OpTic versus Dallas Empire series. First of all, you've got the Formal versus Crim thing. Last week, there was certainly some drama at play between those two guys on the timeline towards it, when they used to team in the past and this type of stuff. The other side of things is that, first of all, there's the OpTic guys that have talked for the last, however many months, right? Pretty much since the start of the season, that they were really looking forward to getting back to LAN. When they get to a LAN environment, that's when they're going to reach top form, and that's when they're actually going to be playing their best Call of Duty, right? So that was, of course, one side of things. The other side of things is that Dallas, on the other side of the stage, have been a team that everyone's called onliners, right? Like OpTic beat them 3 times when it was Huntsman last season, but they never got the better of them when it came to an online environment, but Dallas had never got the better of them when they was on LAN. Of course, it's 5v5, then different teams, but still, that was in the minds, I imagine, of the Dallas guys, trying to prove that, like, yeah, look, we're not onliners, we're here to play on LAN, and we're, actually can compete with you guys and beat you guys in a LAN environment. So this, of course, a lot of on the line here. I thought OpTic, they're back on LAN. We've just seen that Octane and Slasher, 2 players that have talked about the benefits of LAN and how much more comfortable, I suppose, they felt and how much better the Krig was seemingly in their hands in a LAN environment, that they were really confident. I was thinking, okay, OpTic, bring me in a similar boat right here, we'll have similar successes to what to what we just saw right there with the other previous guys. However, it does not go down that route by any means, and a lot to say on this, because OpTic are just so confusing, right? They lost to Surge the other day online, then of course they just demolished Los Angeles Thieves, and then they come in here, and this is, I've said this really about OpTic all season, but when things aren't going their way, it just seems like there's no backup plan or there's no way to recover. Like, you see against Thieves, when they're dominating from early on, they don't really have too much issue just completely closing out a series and catching fire. But when that's not the case, things that do not go their way. Game 1 at Garrison Hardpoint, this is a map where Dallas have been pretty good. They managed to close this one out 250 to 160. Dashy goes like 33 or 3 and 23 here with full streaks. But not a pretty sign out of the other AR, that being, of course, Formerly goes 15 and 27 that map. Not what he was looking for by any means. And it's Vivid and Shotzzy, who I'm pretty sure they dropped exactly the same amount of damage, which just pretty shows how in sync they were. And Vivid had a phenomenal series right here. Vivid and Shotzzy, they've been the duo everyone's been talking about, right? Can Vivid replace Huke effectively? Is that going to work for this team? Can they have as much firepower as they had before? And can that SMG line lead the way? And at the same time, do you get enough production out of your ARs on a consistent basis? Can ILLey actually be kind of a second Slayer? He certainly was this series. As Dallas Empire tweet out right here, this is Rambo way back in the day. They decide to play a standoff search and destroy. And this is the thing for OpTic, right? I do wonder if OpTic came into this just thinking, okay, yeah, we're pretty good on standoff, we played it pretty well a couple of times, we should be fine on this map, just go ahead and pick it. But at the end of the day, Dallas are certainly a team that's going to do a lot of prep, like Crim and Rambo, of course, back in the day at Black Ops 2 veterans, they were very good at this map back in the day, and I imagine they prepared some very specific things, and when it would seem like they were bringing some new tactics to the party, the OpTic guys weren't really adapting right, they weren't really switching things up, and they got completely clobbered in this game too. I mean, a 6-1 defeat, as Pac-Man and Ben the Sim are talking about it right here, like, that has been their issue all season against the top teams, never switching up the game plan. They get demolished in the game too. A 6-1, I mean, look at these KDs, right? Envoy's 1-6, Dashy 4-6, Formal 5-7, Scump is 2-7, and Shotzzy and ILLey, I mean, you know, guys that may well have been called onliners last season, and now sitting here, you know, topping the scoreboard in a LAN environment. And that's what we talked about going into this week. Everyone said, there's no more excuses, this is it, and, well, did not go OpTic's way by any means. Completely outplayed, let's just be honest here. This final game as well, like the offense early on, OpTic should certainly have won their first defense. Doesn't happen there. They let Dallas through the cracks. Dallas closed out the first defense, and that's usually enough to, on their first offense, that's usually enough to get you over the line on here. Unfortunately, they didn't show the whole clip when Dallas was fist bumping Crimsix and Scump. I would have kind of liked to see that, but yeah, obviously only the first step for Dallas. Crimsix knows that he doesn't come here to just win first round matches, right? He comes here to win tournaments. So of course that's one side of things. It's genuinely a remarkable situation we find ourselves in. The fact that OpTic have been, look, let's just face it, they've been doing a lot of talk, right, these last several months, and really since it went online last season and things weren't going so well for them, there's been a lot of talk. They come out and didn't win a single map today. That is not the best sign by any means. As I say right here, like, I was hoping for some storylines this weekend. Delivered in spades, no doubt about it, has this first day one. And well, these are the overall series scoreboards. If you guys are interested, Scump -6, Formal and Envoy both -18. The Formal one is especially interesting to me because of course Crim doesn't get the craziest numbers, but Crim's never getting the craziest numbers. The plays he makes on the map are not designed to be in that situation. The SMG line really leading the way on the Dallas side, but Formal especially, right, given the fact that Octane and Slash have just put up crazy numbers with the Krig in hand, I was thinking he would do something similar. Doesn't happen here by any stretch of the imagination. And Shotzzy and Vivid, two players that people have certainly doubted what they could do in a LAN environment, they come out to play in a very impressive fashion today. As Scump says, look, GG's Dallas, no teamwork out of us at all. So frustrating, we do indeed go again tomorrow. Hastro certainly has a few words to say on the matter as well. You guys remember this when everyone was clowning that, you know, Dallas Empire being online. And so of course they embraced it to some degree. They did win the Online World Championship last year, so that is certainly something that should be talked about. But look, at the end of the day, this was a huge statement, I think, for those guys to come out and say, look, OpTic, we don't care about what you were talking about. We're going to prepare very nicely for this series. We're going to come out and show you that actually LAN and online, how much different really is it? And maybe even it's the OpTic guys that were performing better online than they now are on LAN. I don't know how this is going to develop for the rest of the tournament. It's certainly something that I'm very excited to see. So if OpTic do want to make this run that they're going to have to do, and it's going to be a crazy one if they want to make it all the way, they're going to have to beat, well, either Legion or the Surge down here in the lower side. Legion did just beat Surge the other day when they played them, so I guess they should be favourites here. And Empire will go on to face Ultra in Winners Round 2. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upset the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.